Imagine this. You've been fired from your job. You're heavily in debt, and your family is falling apart. In order to get your life back on track, you have to do battle in court against one of the most powerful political machines in the country. And you have to do it by yourself.
10 feet. Keep coming.
In 1984, Eugene Wzorek had been a faithful employee of the Chicago Sewer Department for more than 7 years. But on a typical Friday afternoon, while wrapping up his week, he was handed some unexpected news.
Sorry, man. It wasn't up to me. I came from downtown. Hey, Pete. Come here.
Basically, I got the slip, and it told me that I've been terminated as this day, June 29, 1984. And sincerely yours, and had the commissioner's name on it. And I felt really in despair. You know, like you get a lump in your stomach because you've lost your job, your security for 11 years, and you don't know what to do now.
A year earlier, Chicago was in the midst of a heated mayoral campaign. Gene made a $1,000 donation to Richard M. Daley's first campaign to become mayor. Gene's candidate lost the election, and Gene lost his job. After 7 years of good performance ratings, he was turned out onto the streets. With only an 8th grade education, there are limited opportunities in the job market.
I mean, there's nowhere to go, and you got to face your family, and you can't support them, and you know slowly whatever money you did save is going downhill.
I was calling about your ad in the paper. Are you still hiring drivers at this time?
It's total depression, total despair, total disgust, and you just go straight downhill.
Okay, well, thank you very much.
Gene's back was against the wall. His only alternative was legal action against the city that fired him.
No reason why I should have been fired.
So you believe that you were let go for some other reason?
Yeah, I can hardly think of what it might be, except maybe I gave some money to the Daley campaign, and it kind of rubbed the people who are now mayor the wrong way.
If it is your intention to file a lawsuit against the city of Chicago, I have to tell you that this is not the type of case that I could take on a contingency basis.
Gene went from lawyer to lawyer and spent nearly $25,000 trying to get his case to court. After going through 4 attorneys, there was still no trial date. Then one afternoon, almost 4 years after he was fired, Gene was astonished to find a court document under his doormat. A trial date was finally set. It would begin in a week. With so little time to prepare, a 5th lawyer dropped out. It was now up to Gene to present his own case in court.
For many years, Pat Mielbach was puzzled by the memory.
The night before the trial, Gene prepared the only way he knew how.
I was really scared about going to court, so what I did do was put on some Perry Mason tapes that I had, and I basically went to the court procedure and how he did things. I mean, it might sound silly to you, but hey, you know, it was showing me what was going on. So I was watching the tapes, how they handled the witnesses, how they acted to the judge, what was going on, and basically it told you not to get overexcited, do the case the right way, and stick to the facts. So that's basically how I started handling the case.
Eugene Wzorek versus City of Chicago.
Mr. Wzorek, do you wish to make an opening statement?
Thank you, Your Honor.
Let me tell you, I was scared because you're sitting up before the judge and he's sitting up way up there on the bench and he looks stern, let me tell you. So you don't know, hey. But then you figure, hey, I'm fighting for my life. This is my job. What am I going to do later? Live in a cardboard box somewhere, you know?
Well, Your Honor, what I was trying to say in the deposition was that the superintendent states that he was the one that fired all the people. You know, stamped the names and all that.
What page in the deposition?
Well,
from the beginning of the trial, there seemed to be little hope for Gene as he fumbled through his papers and stumbled through his testimony.
I'll produce this paper later.
Produce it now. Why later?
Well, I've got it in my papers, and I didn't know if I could do it or not.
You get your papers out now. You're putting on your case. If you have any documents you want to get into evidence, put them in.
Well, I know it's hearsay and all that, but I just...
Mr. Wzorek, you don't decide what's hearsay. That's my job.
Yes, Your Honor.
Try to figure out what the words mean by what everybody's doing. Then if you catch a few of the words, you can jot them down or remember them, go home and look in a dictionary and find out what they mean, because they're probably going to be used again in a longer trial. So I basically did that, and I tried to apologize to the judge and have him come down to the level of education that I knew. When I'd get home, I'd be sick, I'd be scared, nervous. Boy, I was all wound up. I was sick to my stomach. You know, you thought about, hey, I don't want to go tomorrow. You know what I mean? Basically, you don't know what to do.
Gene persevered. He pulled himself together and for the rest of the trial, systematically began to prove his case.
If the man was
The
good,
foreman who rated his job performance was the first witness called.
How was Eugene Wzorek as an employee?
never had no problem. He always went to location, did what he was supposed to do. When I went to check him, he was always out there.
Next on the stand, the foreman's boss, the district superintendent, who supposedly recommended Gene's dismissal.
My card citing me for poor performance. Now, can you tell me what I did?
I never saw that card.
But this is from you to the commissioner.
No.
Citing me for poor performance. It says so right here.
You know, the secretary wrote that out and had me sign my initials here.
So as far as you're concerned, I was a pretty good employee.
As far as I'm concerned.
He knew how he was doing, in a sense, all the way through. He would look over at me when he had just won a goodie, and he'd go.
Gene's last witness was at the top of the sewer department chain of command, the commissioner.
No, I'm just saying someone has got to know who recommended me to be fired. I mean, it just didn't come out of the sky. I mean, do you know anything that I've done that regards to poor performance?
Do I personally know?
Do you personally know?
No.
Well, if my district foreman didn't fire me or recommend it, and we still don't know who did, could there have been a mistake made here?
In a department this size, there's always mistakes being made.
I was confident that I proved my case, but knowing the system and that, and how many people get by the system, you know, I mean, then you start going both ways. You wonder, well, you know, I tried my darndest and that, and they gave their closing argument, and within a few minutes, the judge gave his decision right away.
There's no question at all that the petitioner was fired for political reasons. He's proved his case by clear and convincing evidence. I will detail this.
Gene Wzorek was awarded $250,000 in damages, the largest decision ever handed down against the city of Chicago for a political firing. The city appealed, but the verdict was upheld.
I'm astounded by it in a way. It feels good though in a way, but they said David beat Goliath, so I guess it can happen.